What's up, Anthony? Welcome in, dude. So bring us up to speed. You took a last minute flight to Minneapolis to participate in the protests that are happening, and apparently Greg Bavino must have heard that you were coming because he is apparently been fired and he's returning to his post in El Centro. So nicely done. How are you doing?
Yeah, I think as soon as Christy Nome and Greg Gestapo Bovino heard that I was getting on a flight, they packed and left. I wish that were the case, but either way, things are changing here. But I think what we see with that specifically is the fact that if you stay silent and we do nothing, we know the lengths that they would have taken things to.
Mm-hmm.
Americans stood up, made themselves heard. Is protest always perfect? No. But the president has heard this and it sent a message to him loud and clear. And I don't think that Donald Trump is making changes in Minneapolis or with ICE out of the kindness of his heart. He knows that
Mm-hmm.
it is absolutely going to destroy his presidency, his base, his support, his legitimacy, and more importantly, um, the the plans that he has set for expansion in other areas. It's almost to where if you want to, if you're building the Death Star, you don't want to start shooting from the Death Star before it's ready to alert the resistance to attack the Death Star. You want to wait till it's ready. This is
Mm-hmm.
one of those things where I think the implementation of ICE on the streets of the United States to sow seeds of dissent, fear, intimidation, was simply one line of effort in the greater efforts that this line of effort, I think, even for Donald Trump's own liking, got way out of control.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I,
Well,
I will say that the people in Minneapolis that took a stand, that continue to put themselves on the front line, and again, it's not always perfect,
yeah,
but
it does
it goes to
work.
show that people
Yeah.
power matters.
Absolutely. That was one of my comments once I heard the news that Greg Bavino was out. Look, popular protests do work as long as we have mass mobilization. We can move them, but we got to keep it up. It can't just rest on our laurels. I mean, everything they'll find a new way. The ruling class is no short on different techniques and tactics. So, what can you tell us? What are you going to be doing in Minneapolis over the next few days? Like, are there events planned? Are you going to be giving speeches and etc.?
So I literally I just landed in Minneapolis. I got a ride over here to where we're staging. I call it the patrol base for anyone that's been in the military. Kind of where you stage your operations. Eat, rest, and then go out and conduct operations again. So
Mm.
this evening, after I'm done here, I'll meet up with Josie Gilbo and Greg Stoker. They're
Oh, nice.
currently at a location with a group. They're kind of doing more of like an interview discussion. They're not really involved in the protest that's happening at the main hotel that the ICE agents are staying at here in Minneapolis, just about 2 blocks away. So I'll link up with them afterwards, and we're gonna talk to some of the Minnesotans. We're gonna talk to some other folks that are there from Veterans for Peace and About Face Veterans Against War, and I'm not affiliated with those groups directly, but I do support their message and support what they stand for.
Hmm.
Also, Abby Martin, as many of you know, she's here, and tomorrow she's going to be screening her film Earth's Greatest Enemy. So I've had the opportunity to see that screening in 4 cities now. So it just so happened that being here, I saw that's going to be screened tomorrow. So I'm going to participate in that, and then tomorrow we're also going to have a press conference where it'll be myself, Josie, Greg Stoker, Abby Martin, and Colleen Rowley, who is another whistleblower from the FBI who left the career servant in public service in the FBI and blew the whistle on illegalities and things that were happening within the FBI.
Mm.
She's here too. So we're going to offer kind of a press conference to give our perspective on the ground here. Greg and myself being military experience, Colleen Rowley having her experience in the FBI and investigations, Abby Martin being a longtime active voice for activism and for the people, and then with obviously Josephine as well, and her experience being a military intelligence officer. There's a lot more that's going on here than what we see in on the media, and even that's bad. But another key thing to consider is that behind the scenes of that, in addition to these detentions, in addition to these arrests, in addition to these what we see on the TV, on on our smartphones, on our online, is also the data-driven analytics that are taking place, where ICE is not only here to detain individuals, they are also building data sets using Palantir to build data sets on people that they arrest or detain. So, for example, last night when they took into custody approximately 60 people for no cause, really took them in, didn't necessarily book them into arrest, but detained them and then let them go, they biometrically enrolled all of them. They're building a database on people, and they're going to start doing that nationwide. That's another thing that we all need to be cognizant and aware of, is this data building. And if anything stuck out to me that made that so clear beyond doubt, was that look at the letter that Kristi Noem wrote and sent to Governor Walz, that she will take ICE out of Minnesota if he agrees to give up all voting registration data, agrees to end asylum city, and agrees that all immigrants that are released, or all immigrants that are here through the naturalization process, that all of that information is released to them. If that does not show people that that is an absolute political blackmail, hostage-taking scenario, I don't know what else we need to see. You know, it's not about the safety of Americans. It's not about taking dangerous criminals off the street. It's about political influence. Why Minnesota? Of all the places.
Swing state.
I mean, Minnesota has hardly, if we're Minnesota is 24th in the nation down the list having an issue with illegal immigration.
Yeah, right.
So when you look at all the pieces, it's so obvious. And it's not just the arrests. It's not just the violence in the streets. It's not just the demonstrated incompetence, lack of training, violent and aggressive behavior, which stems from lack of training and experience that we see from these ICE agents. In fact, today, one of the ICE agents that was walking out of the hotel that Josie caught on camera, is one of the UG Solutions Infidel Motorcycle Club biker gang contractors that I worked with.
No shit.
In Gaza. So he was over there getting $2,000 a day to shoot at and abuse Palestinians. And when that contract ended, well, he just came right back home and took up a gig with ICE. And within 14 days, he's on the streets with a gun, a pistol, tear gas, stun grenade, all the same equipment he had in Gaza, doing the exact same things to Americans. And he's right down the street. He's here.
It's like evil Anthony Aguilar is there too. It's like the guy that got recruited into GHF and then said, yeah, let's go do the same things at home. Meanwhile, you're like, wait, no, let's blow the whistle on the whole thing.
It's all connected.
Oh, absolutely. And that was sort of my next question to you. But before I ask you about ICE and the similarities between ICE and IDF and all this, you mentioned that the ICE agents are all holed up in the same hotel. Is that true? So everybody knows exactly where they are and where they're coming from?
Yes, because in Minneapolis, there are quite a few hotels that refuse to allow them to stay. So you have agents that are staying in mobile operations field vehicles, which they would call like a mobile operations vehicle, where they'll stay and doing shift work.
Right.
And when they're off shift, they're probably hot bunking, like in the Navy, where you're hot swapping beds in the one hotel that would let them in, because I believe it may have been the Hilton franchise that would not allow the local hotel to refuse their service. Look
Hilton,
look up who Hilton is owned by. I'm sure you can make the connection. But the
Right.
Other hotels in the area would not allow them to stay there. So the primary hotel that they are staying at, where Greg Bovino walked out of today before he did his what I like to call his perp walk, getting his ass kicked out of Minneapolis,
I didn't get to see that.
Yeah, he walked out today when he got the news. After he did his press conference, the press conference that he did where he was basically someone smartly juxtaposed what he said today by
Yeah.
what he said yesterday.
Yeah.
And yesterday it was all this guy was violent, he intended to shoot, he wanted to kill, yada yada yada. And today it's all, well, we'll see what the investigation says. I'm not going to say anything about complete
Right.
flip. So
And
I
they,
think Kristi Noem and Greg Bovino got their hands slapped by Trump directly.
mm,
Because let's be honest, the entire architecture, the architect behind the architecture of this entire immigration policy is not Kristi Noem. It's Steve Miller.
mhm.
So when you think about that guy and then you see what's happening in our streets and who is the architect of it, it shouldn't surprise us.
Right. So I feel like since we know where they are in Minneapolis, is there a lot of protesting around the hotel itself? Is
Oh
it
yeah,
sort of
that's
common
so that is turned into what is somewhat what you would call ground zero
zero? Yeah.
of the protests, and then when the ICE agents depart in their motorcades to go execute warrants, the protesters then follow. That's where you hear the horn honking, the whistle blowing, and they'll alert other protesters or other observers where they're coming from, and then they'll be there when ICE
Right.
agents get on scene. So typically, when you see these ICE agents get onto a location to serve some high level warrant, it's not because protesters or anybody have broken into the intelligence apparatus of ICE. They just follow them, which
Mm.
is not illegal.
Mhm. Wow. So you said that they have like a mobile command center, and I've seen like some of the videos where they're in these huge vans, and there's just a whole team of people that are just patrolling these neighborhoods basically,
So
and
they're executing operation. Remember, because ICE as a federal agency, as a federal entity that has been deputized in a way to have this warrant like function, this warrant and arrest function. They aren't sheriffs. They're not state troopers. They're not city police. They don't have the process inherent into their organization to get a warrant or to see a magistrate for a warrant for an arrest. So typically, unless it's an extremist, an arrest on scene, you can't just go pick somebody up without a warrant from a judge based on an alleged crime that judge had said, yes, that's a crime. If
mhm,
someone gets a speeding ticket, they don't go to jail. I mean, unless there's more involved in it, but typical speeding ticket, right?
mhm,
So they don't have that process within ICE when it comes to domestic service of those warrants. So it often becomes very violent in serving these warrants that they have because they really don't have the due process to do it, but they do it anyway, and they do it by force. So as
right,
they're doing this, and that's why you see scenes of so many of them out. They'll drive unmarked vehicles. Most of them
right,
are the majority of what they have are rental vehicles. So remember, ICE is deployed to these cities. ICE does have field offices in various cities. I do believe Minneapolis, St. Paul, the Twin Cities, there is an ICE or DHS home office. Not all
mhm,
cities have them, where they do have a depot of more of their tactical vehicles, the larger armored vehicles you see. But like as you saw in when Renee Good was killed, they were all driving unmarked, non-standard
right.
civilian vehicles, which
You
is the
you
case most of the time.
Yeah, and did you say that they've detained 60 people even as late as tonight? Like, so this the ICE, detainment is still happening. It's still continuing. Would you is there any inclination in your mind that makes you believe that ICE, this ousting of Greg Bavino and all of this is just a way to placate the public, and that really everything's still going to continue at pace?
I I believe that the removal of Greg Bovino is a placating, yes.
Yeah.
He'll go back to El Centro. He'll probably retire, and
On a
within
pension.
I bet by What are we in now? I bet by June he's on Fox News as a commentator. Just I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I bet by June, July we see Greg Bavino wearing a suit as a commentator on Fox News.
Right.
And then who they're sending here as because remember, Greg Bavino was a district border patrol commander. In absence of a greater united command over ICE because of where they all over the place, this guy Greg Bavino had been identified as the commander at large.
Mm-hmm.
Still a border patrol guy, brought up because border patrol, ICE, TSA, they all fall under the Department of Homeland Security. So ICE in the United States does not have a unified command structure. That's not how it was designed. That's not what its intent is. So Greg Bavino was brought up into this commander at large position, which he was filling. So that's why you see he's still wearing his border patrol uniform, where he looks like, the Hermes dressed him in 1930s Nazi regalia.
Yeah.
And then over him, direct report to DHS. So if you looked at what's happening now, Homan is being brought in
Right.
to
Tom
replace
Homan.
that
Yeah.
role. So it's yet to be seen. Hopeful Tony says maybe he's going to come in and clean things up. Realistic Tony says relieving Bovino was a way to show him, we're getting rid of the bad guy.
Yeah.
We're getting rid of the boogeyman. He's been the face of this. We're getting rid of him. Look, nothing to see here. It's all
Right.
taken care of. Never mind the fact that of all the damage that's already been done, to include Americans that have been wounded and killed on the streets of our nation. But get rid of the problem.
Right.
And then put in Homan, and I'm pretty sure he has his marching orders to settle things down for a little bit.
Yeah.
But in terms of
Business as
ceasing
usual.
operations or stop doing what they're doing, it will continue. But now that Americans are so in tune to it and
Yeah.
are tracking it so deeply, it's going to be very hard to have business as usual without seeing this pop up in, the next big deployment. There's a large deployment of ICE in Arkansas. They're waiting for their orders to start executing operational warrants. ICE conducts their operations more as deployed, targeted operations, not like typical law enforcement policing. They're more like, consider if in the Army, if you had an infantry unit that was out on patrol, or you had the Rangers that were coming in to do a specific strike. So that's kind of the role that they fill. So they're deployed nationwide, activated when there's a warrant surge in a certain area. They don't have the capacity to do many cities at once, probably one or two cities at the same time. So I think the next thing we're probably going to see is Arkansas kick up, and probably Texas.
How many ICE agents do you think are in Minneapolis right now? Do we know?
So the totality of ICE field agents, I mean, actual like on the ground, body armor wearing, mask wearing, goon squad looking. When all this kicked off and started, there were about 400. They shot recruiting through the roof, dropped the training down to 14 days, started handing out guns and badges like it was Cracker Jacks, and putting these guys on the streets. So they went from 400, which was the allocated appropriated funds within the NDAA. Now they're probably up to about 1,200, but the end strength goal by 2027, with the $169 billion that the NDAA cut to DHS, is to raise ICE field agents, not all of DHS, just ICE, to 10,000.
Wow.
So you're going to have an army of ICE essentially allocated to every state in the union.
We just saw that the Good Samaritans have started a website database that identifies through facial recognition a lot of these violent ICE agents. So it's like, as we're also surveilling the surveillors, which is nice to see. I hope that continues. The ousting of Greg Bavino, sort of, just to add a comment to that, because we were just talking about it, but his ousting sort of reminds me that the Epstein class, they love to find a fall guy. Somebody to bad apple and say, oh, we fixed the problem, while everything continues the same. Did you see this crazy video of Greg Bavino, which we just watched on stream? I thought it was AI, but chat was telling me that it's actually real. He's throwing gas canisters.
Oh, that was real.
That's insane. What was your reaction to that? He's saying gas incoming, and then he throws, and
he's a clown.
Yeah.
He is a mascot. He is not a commander.
Yeah.
He is not a leader. He is a mascot. And what I say by that, like in the military, what we call a mascot leader is someone that you put in charge, you give them rank, you pay them a lot of money, and they toe the party line, and they don't think for themselves, and they act like idiots. That's exactly what Greg Bavino is, the useful idiot for the administration. And he is going to be the one thrown under the bus. When the big old bus of accountability comes roaring down the road, the first one they're going to throw under it is Greg Bavino. The second one they're going to throw under it is Kristi Noem. She's also a useful idiot. She has no value to the institution other than a mouthpiece. But here is what all of America, or at least people that are in Trump's orbit, should remember. How did his first administration end? No one in his cabinet, to include his chief of staff, to include his chairman, to include his SecDef, no one got out of that administration unscathed except Donald Trump. To include his own lawyer, Rudy Giuliani, Steve Bannon. He threw everybody under the bus. It's already happening in this administration.
Yeah.
Greg Bavino, like we're seeing the pivot to, oh God, this is, I didn't think of the second and third order effects of this. I need a fall guy. I mean, you remember in the first administration with the National Security Agency with General Flynn, with all of the things that Donald Trump was telling him to do, and then when they got caught, General Flynn was like, "It's doing what the president told me," and the president was like, "I didn't. Who's that guy? I don't even know who that is." And they destroyed that guy.
And he was out. Yeah.
I hope that the inner circle in the administration, from J.D. Vance, I mean, look at Donald Trump's previous vice president, left for dead almost. I hope that J.D. Vance, Pete Hegseth, Marco Rubio, Tulsi Gabbard, that they wake up and realize that it is not a matter of if, it is only a matter of when, until all of this comes crashing down and they get thrown under the bus. Because if there's one person that Donald Trump cares about, it's Donald Trump.
Yeah, true. Wise words. It's often said that fascism is colonialism turned inward. And one of the hallmarks of rising fascism in a country is that the border patrol moves inward. The borders themselves move inward to American cities, and the tactics that are employed along the border by BORTAC units, which are often austere and very harsh and very violent, are now employed against American citizens. And I think, it's pretty obvious that's what we're seeing happening in real time. And I just wanted, I have you here. You've seen firsthand the IDF at work. You see ICE at work. Maybe this is sort of a throwaway question, but do you see the similarities between the IDF and the ICE? I mean, I know that there's a ICE training. A field office in Tel Aviv for ICE. Do you notice the similarities? And you've spent so much of your career in the military. I'm sure you're a special forces guy. I mean, you're watching these crazy scenes on the streets of Minneapolis, for example, and you're looking at their tactics. Do you just see the similarities between IDF, and then do you also notice the incompetence of these ICE agents? Like, what are they? It just seems like it's on display, right? I mean, the level of incompetence.
The first thing I want to say is your observation of border forces and border forces coming, moving
to the cities.
Yeah. Great observation. That is, I'm impressed. Like when you were talking about that, I was like, wow, this Rathbone knows his stuff. So kudos to you. You're exactly right. And what immediately came to my head is that as a special operations officer, I remember I was deployed to Tajikistan. We were conducting counterterrorism operations in Tajikistan, and I'm in Dushanbe. And the president, who's still there, dictator, been there for decades, Rahman, was cracking down on society because he was afraid that with the rise of ISIS just across the border and the influx of Russians, that he was going to be overthrown. And he cracked down. And the border forces, the Tajik border forces, instead of being used on the borders, they began to be deployed into the cities.
Mm-hmm.
And it became tighter and tighter and tighter and tighter until the system fell apart. You had this divide between the Ministry of the Interior, which controlled the border forces, and the Chief of Defense, who was in charge of their Ministry of Defense, and the Army, at odds, because now you had border patrol in the cities where non-deployed or non-active military lived that were being cracked down by another agency. Exactly what we're seeing in Minneapolis between state and the state and federal balance, right?
Yeah.
And then when that happens, it breaks. The government, the chief of defense initiated a coup, and it didn't happen. You know, it's a slow buildup. From one night to the next day, city under siege, fighting in the streets, government forces fighting government forces, the army fighting the police. I had to get find a way to drive myself down to the border of Afghanistan and leave the vehicle and then cross on foot into Kunduz, Afghanistan, to fly to Bagram. That's how bad it got. So when things like that get bad, it gets bad like that.
Right.
And what I want to warn all Americans about is that all of the signs are there.
Mm-hmm.
All of the signs of that happening. If we see what's happening in Minneapolis pop up in Dallas, LA, imagine a city the size of LA. I don't know, like Charlotte. I mean, this has the groundwork to be very, very bad. I hope that Donald Trump sees that and he realizes that, this was a bad strategy. Unfortunately, I think that it is his strategy. He just realizes that maybe you don't crank it up to 11.
Right. Exactly.
Just yet.
Yeah. He's testing the waters, it seems like. And he's
Yes.
He's got to back off.
And that's what, dictators don't just come in one day and they're like, oh, this is the way it is. It's subtle. Like, but as Hitler took power with, Night of the Long Knives, and then, Kristall Nacht, those were tests. What would society put up with?
Yeah.
So I think that Americans, at least here in Minneapolis, have responded to that with, we're not going to put up with it. Unfortunately, we've lost good Americans, especially, Renee Good, and then earlier this week with Alex Preddy. I mean, I said it in a video that I posted. It's the worst of Americans killing the best of Americans.
Yeah, I saw that.
The majority of these ICE agents are doing it for the money.
Yeah.
Why would someone feel the need to cover their face if they were doing what they thought was good?
Exactly. And when you watch that footage of the Alex Preddy video, I mean, it was pretty blatant, right? I mean, the guy was shot in the back as he's being pepper sprayed and then tackled to the ground when he's just trying to help a woman who was just assaulted by an ICE agent. It's hard for me to say which one was more blatant of an obvious case of murder. Was it Renee Good or Alex Preddy? But I wanted to get your perspective of, like, when you watched that video, did you just see these people that there's 7 of them. They don't know what they're doing. They can't even detain one person without killing him. It just seemed so just a blatant crime. But it's pretty, and you mentioned also the contradiction at play here, which I think is interesting. The state law enforcement and federal law enforcement, how they're kind of butting heads. And I saw a video that was pretty wild. A police captain, I forget of which which city. Maybe it might have been Minneapolis, but he was complaining.
He's the police chief of Minneapolis.
Okay, he was complaining that the federal agents, the ICE agents, were attacking or detaining his own police. You know, so they had to hold a press conference to say, "Hey, stop detaining our cops on the street." So it's pretty wild. I feel like this contradiction is going to keep escalating.
Well, so it's the parallels to what I experienced in Gaza with the company that was hired to go into Gaza to do this pseudo fake humanitarian aid.
Yeah.
They recruited everybody for a lot of money, no training, no vetting, no accountability, no orientation to our weapons. We got off a bus in Tel Aviv, got on another bus down to the Karim Shalom crossing, and by the next day, we were given rifles, pistols, armored vehicles, stun grenades, tear gas, pepper spray, riot batons, machine guns, with zero training. Zero. And said, here you go.
Mm-hmm. Shit, can y'all? I think we lost your audio, Anthony. Can you? I don't know what happened. You're suddenly muted. Anthony, if you can hear me, you're muted right now. Oh no.
There we go. You still there?
Sorry, the audio just cut out. You were talking for like maybe a minute, and we lost audio completely. But it's back now. So we missed.
Where did I leave off?
Shoot, I don't really. It was about 30 seconds, so it was not that far.
So what I was saying was a lot of the tactics that you see employed, by ICE agents, is largely because a complete lack of training. They don't train as a unit. They don't train. If anything demonstrated to me what we saw against Alex Preddy on the 24th was a complete lack of discipline, no unit training, no standard operating procedures. They don't train together. They don't work together. They're cowboys with guns. And if you saw in that incident where you have the one agent who pushes the woman,
right?
I would say from the perspective of anyone that looked at that in a rational sense, that was uncalled for. A woman standing there with a phone in her hand.
In the back, I'm pretty sure she was pushed she was pushed while
from
she was
behind,
walking away.
slammed into the ground.
Mm-hmm.
And when you see that what that shows me is that I believe that the ICE agents, they are not trained to deal with de-escalation and deal with people that have rights and freedom. They think that, get out of my way, shut up, do what I say. It's like, excuse me? No, I'm an
bullies.
American. And you see how they react. They get frustrated, they get pissed off. I think what we saw from Renee Good's killing and what we saw from the killing of Alex Preddy was anger, frustration, and the inability of imbeciles with guns to properly control themselves, de-escalate, or not only forget de-escalate, they intentionally escalate.
Yeah, it's like they're instructed to be bullies and to, like you say, escalate the violence. And then, it's sort of reminiscent of what we did to Iran in a certain sense, that the rioters, the people that were paid to riot in Iran, they were told to, beat up civilians, and then that would incite the police to show up. And then once the police showed up, there would be more escalation. So I think that, it seems like it's the same sort of goal that the ICE agents have. I would like to switch topics and ask about your, you recently announced your candidacy for Congress, and you're running, as I understand, as a Green Party candidate for the 13th district.
Yes, I'll be running independent third party Green Party.
Oh, okay,
yes.
Independent
meaning not with the big two, and then as a third party with the Green Party. And that was all big decisions.
Right. My first question is, how much APAC money are you taking for this campaign?
I'm already on the APAC tracker as a green light 0. And
Oh,
I take no, but what I'm gonna tell everybody is here's the difference between me is that a lot of politicians that we see in politics today go into politics as their career.
yeah.
When you say that they're a career politician, that is absolutely what they are. That is their career. I've served a career already. 25 years a career. A hard career. I'm not looking for another career.
Yeah, you were
I
retired.
I am between my wife and I, who also served in the military, U.S. Army officer, served in the 82nd Airborne, deployed to Iraq, deployed to many places, but deployed to combat. Between her and I, we have, just in our one household, we have 45 years of active duty military service with our retirements and our pensions. And I don't need someone else's money. I don't need someone else's approval. I don't need another credential or another title. I don't need to have someone call me sir or someone open a door for me. What I also bring to the table as a congressman is that I have zero stocks, bonds, investments. I don't even have a Roth IRA. I have nothing in any financial firms or investments at all. Period. Zero. None. What I have is what my wife and I have put away. Everything that we have for a rainy day is in cash or gold. I have nothing in any overseas banks. I invest nothing into the stock market, not even penny stocks. I have no investments or connections to the military industrial complex. When I go to Congress, Americans can rest assured that not one thought through my mind will be, what decision did I make that will benefit me? None. And we all know it. If I'm in Congress and I have stock building into my retirement, and part of that stock, part of that portfolio is with Raytheon, so to speak, and I'm presented with a House resolution to block all offensive munitions going into Israel because there's a genocide, the thought of, well, if Raytheon stock tanks, that's going to impact my retirement. If that thought goes through a congressman's head, they shouldn't be in Congress.
Thank you.
No one in Congress should be. And the thing is that they get paid a lot of money. One thing that I will offer that many candidates do not have, that a Donald Trump or the incumbent that I'm running against, what I have in life that a lot of people don't, is enough. I have enough. I'm happy. I have a wonderful, healthy family. I have a wonderful, caring wife of 18 years. We live comfortably. We live within our means. We're happy. I have zero desires to ever be a multimillionaire or have an Esquire behind my name or sit in front of an oak fireplace with a bathrobe and a pipe and a butler and a servant or have a house in Mar-a-Lago. What I have that a lot of people don't, what I have that Donald Trump and J.D. Vance and most of them have, is I have enough. I'm happy. I'm not going to Congress to make money. I'm not going to Congress to get rich. I'm not going to Congress to make my buddies rich. When I go to Congress, as independent as I can be, I will take no money from any, not just AIPAC. I will take no money at all from any PACs. Super PACs, little PACs, mini PACs, 12 PACs, no PACs. I will take money from no PACs whatsoever. I will take money from no lobbyists whatsoever. I will take no money, handouts, investments, or favors from the military industrial complex. And I'm sure that a lot of people say, well, they all say that. Well, I'll tell you, if I had any intention in doing that, I would have been investing in those things all throughout my military career. Or as soon as I got out of the military, I would have jumped right into those things knowing I could have made six figures like that. I have no interest in that because continuing to fund and promulgate the military industrial complex is against my morals and ethics. So I'm not going to do anything to make money off of it. And I'm telling you, there are a lot of congressmen, senators, and representatives that make a lot of money off of their investments in stocks and trades and bonds and portfolio with the military industrial complex. You would be blown away. Case in point, when you hear the term Oshkosh, what do you think?
Oshkosh bagosh. No, I don't know.
No, you're right. When you think Oshkosh, what do you think?
I guess that's what I think. Yeah, I don't know.
Which is what?
I'd have to Google it.
Oshkosh bagosh, right? Children's clothing, right?
Yeah, right.
The exact same company, Oshkosh, that makes the Oshkosh bagosh penny loafer overalls for your 3-year-old to wear, is the exact same company that makes the RG-33 mine-resistant anti-tank vehicle in Afghanistan. Oshkosh.
What?
The same company.
How? What the? Wait, is Oshkosh Israeli? Is that an Israeli?
It's not. But when I was in Afghanistan, when they started rolling out the new vehicles that replaced the Humvees, they were called RG-33s.
Yeah.
Or they later became a new variant called the MRAP, the mine resistant anti-tank personnel vehicle.
Mine resistant.
Yeah.
What is that?
Mine resistant, like a mine.
Oh, a mine resistant.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's like a mind. I thought it was like mind control or something.
Oh, that would be pretty cool. But the front of it, big emblem, and it said Oshkosh, and it was the same emblem as I saw on like the clothes that my son at the time as a toddler wore, and I'm like, it's like what? So I looked that up, and sure enough, the same company that's making kids' overalls that toddlers wear make armored gun trucks of death. The military-industrial complex is deep.
Yeah. Well, I was shocked when I learned about Hyundai, and I thought, okay, well, they just make cars, or so I thought. No, they make like excavators to ethnically cleanse, the West Bank.
But the thing is that this is not new.
Right.
The industrialization of the home base into the military, like for example, Mitsubishi. Mitsubishi made the Zero fighter in World War II for the Japanese, and they BMW, Bavarian Motor Works, they made the Stuttgart dive bomber. So you see these things continue.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I could understand that because it's like in a world war, a lot of the companies, they give themselves over to the military industrial complex and produce for the war effort. But this just seems like
who makes
level.
the Israeli Sandcat vehicle. It's an all-terrain armored vehicle. The vehicles that we as UG Solutions personnel were using in Gaza, when I first got into it and sat in the driver's seat, I was like, this feels exactly like my Ford F-150. Well, no shit. Ford makes it.
Wow. And
so the military-industrial complex is deep. And I'm not saying that people should stop buying Ford and stop by. The reason I'm bringing that up is that as a candidate in Congress, my take, I should not have any stocks, bonds, investments in anything. Anything. Whether it's Hostess cupcakes or Raytheon missiles.
Yeah.
Zero. Because there should never be a doubt in an American's mind that when a piece of legislation comes onto my desk and how I'm going to vote, that there should be any thought in my head about what's in it for me.
For you, right?
That should never, ever be a consideration. And for people that say that it's not, for people to say, oh, well, Nancy Pelosi never voted or decided based on how it would make her rich. Bullshit.
Yeah, she's an insider trader.
And look at our former, General Austin, our former SecDef before Pentagon Pete. He was a 4-star general, retired from the United States military as a combatant commander, one of the most, the combatant commander for U.S. Central Command, one of the most powerful military positions you can have in the Army as a combatant commander. And when he retired, who did he go work for? Raytheon. When he became the SecDef, By coincidence, Raytheon contracts increased by over 3%.
Mm-hmm.
Coincidence? And then when he retired, or
Yeah.
when he was done with his time as SecDef, where did he go? Right back to Raytheon. There is no way anyone can
Yeah.
convince me that there is not a perverse incentive in that situation. Our members of Congress, our president, our senators, our representatives represent the people. And to me, it is absolutely unforgivable that anyone in an elective office serving the people would ever put themselves in a position to advantage or to personally benefit from that position.
Yeah.
To me, that's abhorrent.
You're speaking about, I think, the state corporate complex and how it's this revolving door, like one commenter was saying. And another example that I like to bring up is Steve Mnuchin, who was the last Treasury Secretary under Trump. And he was the CEO of Goldman Sachs before that. And then once he was done with his Trump administration gig, he went back to the financial sector. So it's just they're constantly switching back forth between these two power centers. So, well, another thing is that aside from all of the things that you have enough of, you also have a prodigious amount of social capital and integrity and honesty and credibility with the American people. So I think I'm really happy to see you running for office. I feel like this is the logical next step because, like you said, you've already fulfilled your career. You weren't looking for this. This is not something that was on your radar. And you thought you were going to retire off into the sunset, and raise your family, but you're feeling compelled nobly to take on this. And so we wish you the best of luck. And how, I want to ask you a little bit about your platforms, and maybe we could talk about who you're up against and like what's your strategy and what is this going to look like for the next year? I mean, the midterms are in November, correct?
Yeah.
So
Every state is a little bit different in terms of what's allowed in the general and the primaries. So as an example, in New York, in the general, you can run, let's say, as a Democrat, or in the primary, you could run as a Democrat, and then in the general, you could switch to independent or third party or even to Republican. Every state's different in the laws that govern how a candidate can run in the primary and how it can run in the general. In North Carolina, in running in the primary and then the general, you have to stay with the party that you ran with. So in North Carolina, the primary is in November, this coming March, March, like a month from now, month and a half from now, March. That a Republican and a Democrat. The Democrat that will win is a weak candidate, and the Republican that will win, the incumbent, which is historically how District 13 goes with the incumbent, he is an AIPAC recipient. He is a strong advocate to continue providing offensive weapons and munitions to Israel, to continue to block aid into Gaza. And I'm telling you, that doesn't sit well with the American people anymore. And you can't backpedal off of the money he's taking from AIPAC when you're going up against a candidate who doesn't take money from AIPAC, who doesn't take money from any lobbyist or any PAC. So am I going to raise $10 million and buy this election? No. I'm going to win this election through people power and votes. In District 13, there's 835,000 constituents from the Virginia border all the way down to where I live near Fort Bragg, and it wraps around Raleigh. That district, in order to win based on historic turnout, I only need 300,000 votes. I don't need to buy that. I don't need a lot of money for that. We no longer live in the day that in order to communicate to people, you have to put out road signs or you have to have a campaign office downtown somewhere and you got to call people on a rotary phone. This is for me, for my running. This is a people-powered grassroots movement, and I don't want to sound crass about it, but I don't want to run for Congress. I don't want to. I feel, and I say this to every American, as an individual, as an American, I would offer that I'm not dumb. I mean, I'm educated. I went to West Point, succeeded in going to West Point, an Army Ranger, a Green Beret, survived 12 combat deployments, seen the world.
Yeah.
And I am scared when I sit back and I see where our country is headed, and how our country is being sold, and our votes are being bought, and our American values are being bought and sold, and Americans are suffering.
Right.
The average American now, in terms of like affordable housing, the definition of affordable housing is that if you spend more than 30% of your income on your house, you're not in affordable housing. That's the majority of America now, whether you're renting or leasing or buying, paying off on credit cards.
Yeah.
That's not sustainable. And when I see Americans suffer, and the rich get richer, it's something I can't live with it. I cannot, the way I look at it, Tony's put his skin in the game. 25 years, I've been shot, I've missed births, I've missed holidays, missed Christmases, missed birthdays. I've put in a lot of skin in the game.
Yep.
I could easily now ride off into the sunset, take my retirement and my pension, and be happy. I was, going to therapy every day, working through my PTSD, working a very limited part-time shift at Lowe's Home and Garden, watering flowers in the morning after I take my son to school, in time, at home in time for lunch to watch the Golden Girls, read a book. Good life. A life that I don't have to give up. And I'm telling you, jumping into the campaign where I have to be on social media, I don't like social media. I'm on it now because that's just the way of the world. But man, I do not like it. To me, social media is like being locked in a bathroom in a dive bar, and you're forced to read all the shit that people have written on the wall, and there's nothing you can do about it. Like,
it is. It's the bathroom
what social
wall.
media is. Like, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And you just because and you go into some dive bar country saloon, like in that movie From Dusk Till Dawn, and you go into the bathroom and there's everything written there from like quotes from Aristotle to some chick's phone number, right? That's what social media is, and I hate it. Like,
vomit.
I do not like it.
Yeah.
So I'm putting myself in a position doing a lot of things that are not comfortable for me and I don't like. However, the fear of what may happen in our country is a lot more discomforting. So I'm willing to jump in and do it because, one of the things is I think that being in the House of Representatives, I'll tell America the big secret. Legislating is not hard. Legislating is not hard. Either a resolution is proposed or you yourself can propose resolution.
Yeah.
You communicate the resolution, you build support.
Yep.
Once you have a certain level of support, you try to push it through the House. It gets votes or it doesn't. You can continue to push. And when someone else is, a political action committee or APAC or any PAC is pulling the strings and saying, "Oh, you better not vote that way," or "Oh, you better not vote that way," you're no longer voting for your constituents. You're voting for industry. And to me, that's unacceptable. Unacceptable.
Yeah. You said a lot of great points there. And I would just say, to add to that, I think you're right. The problems of our society are well known, and governments certainly know how to implement these solutions. It would be very easy to do so. The problem is we don't have people like you that are serving their serving the American people who elected them and who they're supposed to represent in theory. And another thing that you mentioned was just like how, this was not on your plate. This is something that you feel like you're compelled to do. And I often tell my audience that it's kind of a sign of the times that people like you and me in a different way speak up, because it has gotten so bad. I mean, I'm a music teacher by trade. I did not foresee becoming a political minded person, and certainly not having a platform based on my politics. But like you, I see how the world is going and how society has been, and so it's compelled us. And so I thank you for doing that. And so who are you up against? And what are you? Who do you think is the likely person that you're going to be challenging?
My primary opponent after the primaries going into the general, the person it'll be the main card will be Brad Knott. He's the incumbent.
Okay.
Republican AIPAC recipient. And I posted when I was in DC last week or week before last. I was with Doctors Against Genocide, and when I go to the Hill with Doctors Against Genocide, I go with them with the focus on a certain resolution or a policy or a discussion point. And Doctors Against Genocide produces a list of who we're going to see on the Hill broken down between various teams. And on the team that I was in, it just so happened that one of the reps that we were meeting with was Brad Knott, my representative.
Oh, wow.
And I didn't know that going in. And typically when we go to meet congressmen, whether they're senators or reps, I look up who they are in terms of like, oh, are they a Republican or a Democrat? But I try not to dig too deep because I don't want to go into that engagement with a preconceived notion of what they're going to say or who they are or what their position is. You don't go into a situation and bury the lead with, already thinking that they're going to respond a certain way. You go in and you're just honest, regardless of where they stand. You're honest with them.
Yeah.
So I try not to look at, who takes AIPAC money, who's a lawyer or who's a doctor or this and that. Are they a Republican or are they a Democrat? And most of the time you can't avoid knowing that because it's on their door.
Yeah.
So when I went to go see Brad Knott, my congressman, and the three things we were talking about were House Resolution 3565 to block the bombs or the offensive munitions going into Israel for the continuation of the war in Gaza. Why are we continuing to provide them offensive munitions if there's supposed to be a ceasefire? The second is the unrestricted aid going into Gaza, which was part of UN Resolution 2803 and the peace plan. Unrestricted aid, which is still not going in. There's a House resolution to demand that. And a House resolution to call what is happening by its name, a genocide. To call it what it is, in accordance with U.S. Code 18, which is federal law. Definition of genocide is in that code under Section 1092. So those three resolutions. And when we talk to his staff, his senior staff, the people that are his right-hand man, this individual had never heard of either three of those resolutions.
No.
And wasn't aware of what was going on in Gaza in terms of the yellow line and that Israel hadn't pulled out completely. And this staffer said to us, well, I was tracking that there's a ceasefire and the war's over and Israel's left and everything's fine now. And I'm like, are you kidding? Like, is this...
You're working for Congress. How do you not know what's going on?
Does your mom know you're here? Like what are you talking? Are you joking?
Yeah.
And so I asked him, I said, okay, so you are the congressman's senior legislative affairs staffer. You have a military affairs, leg affairs, environmental affairs, all these people that focus on different commodities within your office. And this guy's leg affairs, legislation.
Yeah.
If I was leg affairs, if I was a senior staffer on a congressional staff for leg affairs, I think it would be appropriate and expected that I know all of the House resolutions and or all of the joint resolutions if I'm in the Senate, because it's not that hard of a list and you should know them. Yeah. And when we talked to him about it, you would have thought the word House resolution was like asking him what's the square root of pi? And he's like, I'm like, are you joking? Like, do you work here, or did we just, are you
Yeah.
messing with me? And he was like, no, this is fascinating. I appreciate all this information. I'm
Oh
like,
my
that's
God.
not how this is supposed to work.
Yeah. What are you
You
talking
are
about?
the
You're
one
getting
in Congress. You are the one. I was like, if you don't know this and your boss has never brought this up or expects you to know it, that means he doesn't care. And I said, you know what? Just entertain me. What do you do all day?
you
I
do.
didn't mean it to be a jerk. I was like, seriously, like, I was like, when I was a military commander, every morning we had physical training. 30 minutes later, you come back and you have a staff meeting. As a commander, I give my staff instructions on what we're doing for the day. If it's a Monday meeting or it's a Tuesday meeting, and then we execute throughout the day. And at the end of the day, we all come back together and say, hey, this is what I accomplished. This is what I didn't accomplish. This is great. This is all screwed up. And we give guidance and we move out. That's what leaders do. What do you do all day? Tell me, walk me through your day, because I feel like you're not doing much and you're getting paid a lot of money.
Right.
So that was the moment for me in talking to my congressman, knowing that me and my neighbor and the people that live in my neighborhood work our butts off for what we've earned, to put food on the table, to keep the lights on, to pay a car bill, to put our children in school. And we're good people, and we care about our country, and we care about our families, and we care about doing good. And you have to struggle to get by. Yet the person that's in office, not because he overwhelmingly won the vote, but because people just didn't care.
Yeah.
And that dude's up there making $400,000 a year when you throw in per diem and travel and base pay. And oh, by the way, after one term, he gets a pension for the rest of his life.
Mm. And he can't even keep track of where your money's going.
And he doesn't even know. Because I told him, I was like, every bomb that Israel drops comes from us. The price tag out the door after Raytheon builds it, General Dynamics puts its navigation on it. All the different companies put everything into it. A 2,000-pound GBU 38 with guided munition package, MK08 guided munition package. When that thing drops out of that plane, that is a $50,000 bomb for one. And we've given, and Israel has dropped over 1 million of them. $50 to $55 billion just in 2,000-pound bombs. So when I ask a congressman about block the bombs, and he says, he doesn't know, it's really not in his wheelhouse, shame on you. Then you shouldn't be in Congress, because that means that every time one of those bombs drops from the sky, Americans put 50 grand into it.
Yep.
I can do a lot with 50 grand in my constituency.
Yep. And there'd be $50,000 bomb dropped on a $10 tent.
To kill women and children.
Yeah, who are living on $1 a day. It's
If
so despicable, if that, right? Exactly. So I know you're very averse to social media and it's not your thing, but I think you're doing pretty well with it. And it seems like you're a natural at public speaking. I've seen a few clips of you giving speeches to people. And are we going to see you on the debate stage soon? Are you going to be?
I want
taking
that.
these
I mean,
people to task?
I'm gonna start doing town halls, and I'm gonna start reaching out to those that will be running in the primary from the Democrat, Republican, and I think there's one Libertarian candidate running.
Yeah.
So we'll see who emerges from that. I think the Libertarian, there's no one running against him, so he'll probably emerge from that. I don't think, obviously, he's not running in the primary, but come the field, come post-March into the general season before the general election in November, you'll have a Republican who will be the incumbent, Brad Knott. You'll have a Democrat. I don't know who's going to win out of the 3 Democrats that are running in the primary, but one of them will be the front runner. And then you'll have a Libertarian and you'll have me. So there'll be 4 of us.
And what do you say to people that are like, oh, Anthony Aguilar, he's the Green Party candidate. He's the ringer. He's just going to spoil the election. You're going to get that.
Honestly, to be fair, I felt the same way.
Mm-hmm.
That, and I told myself, I don't want to run for Congress because I cannot align myself to the Democratic Party, and I cannot align myself to the Republican Party, and I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
But here's the truth. This bi-party menu that our leaders continue to force feed us is a shitty menu. It lacks sustainment. It lacks integrity, and it's a lie. And I tell people to look at. I ask people, like, when has it always been Democrat, Republican? Has it always been that way? It's always been that way. Not true. False. George Washington ran unaffiliated. Every president after him, before Ulysses S. Grant, ran neither as a Democrat or as a Republican, because those parties didn't exist. You had the Whig Party.
The Whigs,
you had the Democratic Republican Party. You had the Union Nationalist Party. And it wasn't until Andrew Jackson beat John Quincy Adams that the Democratic Party emerged. It wasn't, and in that race, all of the National Unionists and all of the Democratic Republicans called Jackson a spoiler. And he won off of principle and his position. You didn't have your first Republican until Abraham Lincoln.
Yeah.
The first Republican president we had was Abraham Lincoln. And in Abraham Lincoln's second term, he didn't even run as a Republican. He ran as a National Unionist. So when you think about this, when it went into this, always a Democrat or Republican, a Democrat or Republican, a Democrat or Republican, since that has been the paradigm, we've had 11 Democrat, 19 Republican, and I ask America, what has it gotten us? So my candidacy and how I'm running, I don't see myself as a spoiler. I see myself as an enhancer. Because if you're going to run against me, you better know your stuff.
Absolutely. We would love to see you on that debate stage actually speaking the truth. It's so refreshing to hear a candidate that's actually telling the truth. And I remember, when I campaigned for Jill Stein and Butch Ware for their candidacy for presidency, I spoke with their campaign manager, Jason Call, and he was telling us how difficult the Democrats of all, oddly enough, or maybe not so surprisingly, you find that the Democrats are much more sabotaging of the Green Party than the Republicans are. So you're preaching to the choir. For us, I fully get behind a Green Party candidate. I think you're absolutely right. We live in a business uniparty. It's red genocide, blue genocide. It's the same thing. And you can't be playing small against these people.
Here's the thing that I'll tell people in terms of being a spoiler. I would tell you that I'm, as a Green Party candidate in Congress, I can be your all-time utility player. I can be that guy that's your shortstop, your first baseman, and your right fielder, because I can caucus with either party.
Nice. You see that? Well, I want to. You've been so
or
great.
Not. I could caucus with other party or not.
Yeah, or not. Right. I wanted to ask you just briefly as we're wrapping up here, because I know that it's late where you are, and you got a full week ahead of you. But the last time we talked, we were talking about Iran, and you made a prediction about. Well, I don't know. I don't want to hold you to it, but I seem to remember us talking about how sometime in January you expected there to be a resumption of U.S.-Israeli-led airstrikes against Iran. It's January 26th. There's still 4 or 5 more days in January, and it seems like it's Venezuela 2.0 out there in the Middle East, because you've got this huge armada being built up surrounding the Middle East right now. So while it is the end of January, I wouldn't count out your or my prediction coming true, but I wanted to see what do you think about the
end of January, early February. So, for example, when I was thinking about Venezuela, again, not a wild ass guess, not just throwing spaghetti on the wall and seeing what sticks. Looking at the deployment, the composition and disposition of military forces that were arrayed in theater, and what that means militarily. And before Christmas, we did conduct land strikes on Venezuela. I would say that's an act of war.
Absolutely.
So when you look at, on January 3rd, when we went in and did the operation to nab Maduro, the war had already started. We were already bombing on land in
Yeah.
Venezuela.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm seeing a lot of the same. And here's when we talked last, the rotation of military assets was going to be, because remember, when we moved the USS Gerald Ford out of CENTCOM to bring it over into the Caribbean, that has second and third order effects. The USS
Okay.
Ronald Reagan was the aircraft carrier strike group that was then ordered to go back to replace that gap. The USS Ronald Reagan, because it had recently come off of deployment, when an aircraft carrier strike group comes off of deployment and it goes into dock for maintenance, it goes under major, major, major maintenance and repair. It's not like a paint job and changing some light bulbs. It goes through nuclear reactor cleaning, inspections. It's serious stuff. So when the president announced, "Hey, the Ronald Reagan's going and I'm ordering it now," that didn't happen. The Ronald Reagan is actually just getting there now. So I think with now, and you'll see on the news in the next few days, I believe, throughout the rest of this week. What is it, Monday? So through this week, I think we're going to have a clearer answer on is Iran going to say, bring it, fuck it, bring it, we're done, bring it, or is there going to be some kind of push for some kind of negotiation from Iran based on the assets we have in theater? But remember, there's always a spoiler. What might the Ansar al-Islam and the Houthis do?
Mm-hmm.
What might an Iranian proxy in Syria or Iraq do? What might Hezbollah do? There's always a spoiler. So I do hope that in the buildup of military power, that on the brink there is a negotiation and a step back. But I don't think Israel wants that. I think Israel wants the United States to go in and start a war with Iran. And I fear that Israel is going to do everything it can to make that happen. Again, I think that they really, really, really tried for the protests to be that catalyst that forced the U.S. to do something militarily. But Russia and China got more involved than Israel anticipated, and that became a spoiling effort within the greater let's go to war.
Yeah.
I think that it's coming because I know that Israel is always hell-bent on wanting to get the United States to attack Israel to attack Iran. So I still fear that in this week or going into February that there's still a high possibility of war. All of the assets and all of the functions and all of the capabilities and all of the command structure and all the unification of command of the joint force, air, land, and sea are all in place.
Right.
It's certainly not a matter of can we.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. It's a solid answer. I think it's certainly could be days away from another strike. So, Anthony, thank you so much. You provide such insightful analysis, and you're a true hero, and we are cheering you on. I hope you know we really do appreciate the fact that you're doing this. And I wanted to. People are asking how can we donate to your campaign, and what websites?
So if you go to Aguilar for USCongress.com,
okay,
and when you first look that up, you'll see one that's there for Pete Aguilar, not me. Pete Aguilar is the Democrat out of California 33 who takes $1.2 million in AIPAC money, not me.
There's an evil Aguilar that we didn't know?
There's an evil one. There's a Pete Aguilar who takes tons of AIPAC money.
Shit.
Yeah, it's...
Steer clear of that guy.
Yeah, believe it or not, when last week also in Congress, he's one of the offices we met, and I went in there and I was like, wonder if there's any relation. And I saw how much AIPAC money he took, and I'm like, damn, I hope not.
Yeah, right.
And this guy, he's the worst of the worst.
No relation
so I was
whatsoever.
like, when I did my little video with him, I was like, hey, I'm standing outside here of Pete Aguilar, California 33, Democrat, takes APAC money. No relation.
Yeah.
So
So it's
when you find my website, you'll see the North Carolina District 13, and on that website,
okay.
there's a link to donate. There's a link to volunteer to help, and our volunteer platform to help will be everything from door knocking to putting out signs to helping with town halls. But the biggest thing that I need help with from all of the Rathbone universe out there and from everyone else that supports me is beat the machine, beat the algorithm, spread it on the internet,
Right.
repost and spread and comment and like and push,
Yeah.
push, push.
And let's also follow you're on every platform now, I
So
think.
I'm on YouTube,
Okay.
I'm on X, I'm on Instagram,
Instagram, yeah.
TikTok.
Okay.
Uh, I just did my account today. I'm now on Upscrolled.
Okay. I'm gonna share your links, your social media links, so people here can follow you as well. And can you just tell us where can we catch this press conference that you're giving? Is it tomorrow?
It
Is
will be tomorrow.
Okay.
After we get off this call.
Okay.
I'm walking a couple blocks down to link up with Josie Gilbo and Greg
Yeah.
Stoker, and we're going to talk about that, where it's going to be. And I believe Josie Gilbo is coordinating with
Okay.
local influencers to have it put live cast on social media. I don't know how all that stuff works.
Okay.
I'm just
Well, I'll follow up and figure out where that is, and then maybe we can live stream it as well. We'll definitely catch it and keep updated with what you're doing.
it will be very interesting and very good, because again, we have
Yeah.
a retired Intel analyst, a retired Green Beret, a retired Army Ranger, two of which of us are running for Congress, a retired FBI analyst, and then of course the amazing Abby Martin and her wealth of knowledge and experience and what she has been involved in throughout her entire adult life, but especially what she's involved in now in her passion of saving our planet. And if anyone out there has not yet seen Earth's Greatest Enemy, please watch it.
I need to see that. I haven't seen it yet.
Coming to you
Um,
from a military veteran who served 25 years in
yeah.
the Army,
Yeah.
it's not propaganda. It's not uh, a new version of Al Gore's Inconvenient Truth. It's not that. What you're going to see is true. And if it doesn't absolutely piss you off, the amount of waste, fraud, and abuse in our military and how it's further damaging our environment for our future, for our children. I've seen it 4 times now, and there's not, or excuse me, I'm sorry, 3 times. Tomorrow will be the fourth. I've seen it 3 times in 3 screenings. Tomorrow will be the fourth here in Minneapolis. And every time I see it, I walk away emotional. Watch it.
Awesome. We will definitely do that. Anthony, thank you so much for your time tonight, and best of luck in
Always
Minneapolis.
thank you as well. I have so much respect for you and your platform and everything that you do, and for your audience. And I watch you as much as I possibly can, as often as I can when I have time. If I have
I
time in the
appreciate
evening,
that.
to sit and just listen, because I always learn things from you and from the questions that come from your audience. I
Yeah.
don't think there's been a time that I've had the opportunity to sit down and just listen, and either from comments from the audience or from things you say or from questions that are asked,
Yeah.
that I don't walk away learning something. And I think
Right.
that's incredibly valuable. So thank you.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, and
Good
we'll get in a
American.
thank you war right here.
Thank
I'll
you.
thank
Thank
you.
you.
No, that's awesome. I appreciate the kind words, and we'll have to have you back on real soon and get some more updates. But we'll be watching, and best of luck on your trip in Minneapolis. I hope it's a productive one, and we'll see you real soon. Okay,
Yeah,
Anthony?
I'll hit back to North Carolina Wednesday, and then
Okay.
Thursday night I'm popping right back up to DC. And this Friday in DC, I'm going to be knocking on doors again, and I'm going to go to the judiciary hearing in the House. The Senate right now on Friday will be on in the Senate. This Friday, the House will be on a local constituent. So the rest of this week, the House is doing constituency-based work. They're doing stuff in their
Okay.
hometowns. but the Senate is still in. And on Friday, the Senate Judiciary Committee, I'm going to sit in to listen to it to see how the government plans to keep us from shutting down again.
Wow. Well, you're staying busy. That's good. And we love you here, judging by the comments. I know I'm not the only one. So without any further ado, I guess we'll say goodbye, good night, and have a great evening, and we'll be watching you, okay?
Good night, and I'll see y'all soon. And
yeah. Let's do it again real soon, okay? After you get back and you got some time. Awesome. Thanks again, Anthony.
All right. Take care.
All right.
Great seeing everybody. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.